Hello, I am so excited about this episode. Thank you for being here with your girl, Patrina Dixon, the It's My Money lady. You all know me, so I'll quickly tell you I'm your finance coach. I'm the one that talks about your financial fundamentals, making sure you got that right, and grants for small business owners. But I want to jump into who I have today on the line with me, you all. She is a mom. She is a wife. She is a #1 best-selling author. She is a veteran in the financial space who paved the way for so many of us. I call her my auntie Lynnette. She may not know that, but she's my auntie in this space, and I'm so honored to have her here. She's a real estate investor. She is an investor in other things. She is all of that. So when I tell you you have a veteran expert to talk about money and the topic specifically that we're going to talk about today, which is the reset or the bounce back, I'm telling you we have the right one. And without further ado, I am honored to introduce to some and to make sure that I say hello to others by way of introducing Lynnette Khalfani-Cox. Hello, Lynnette.
Hey, Patrina, thank you so much for that gracious introduction. You're too kind. But I tell you this, I'm glad you led with mom. I think you might have been one of the very first interviewers to ever lead with mom, because I really feel like, yes, that's, if not wife, mom, wife, the family thing is really way, 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 way more important to me, especially at this stage in my life. We were chatting before, and I was saying, oh, my youngest, she's about to go off to college. And so I got mommy brain, I got college brain, all of that right now is what I'm focusing on. So yeah.
Well, and you know what I love about your story and how the transparency that you give, or the light that you give us into your life by sharing your family and your loving husband. I love how you do that, because although you're this veteran, this expert, you're also what I want to call like a real down to earth auntie, my wife, mom, and you have things that are going on within your life, college that you're planning for. So I love it so much. So now you're being modest. Tell them a little bit more, because I wanted to leave space for you to fill in the gaps, because some people know you that's going to watch, but maybe not everybody. I don't know why.
Right.
Maybe they've been under a rock, but tell me who I have on the line with me today.
Well, I certainly call myself a money coach, of course. That's literally my trademark name, Lynnette Khalfani-Cox, the money coach. And I guess, after 20 plus years of doing this, I have a little veteran status, so I don't mind the auntie title at all. But I am a personal finance expert. I'm a speaker. I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I have 16 books out now, including the latest, what we're going to talk about today, Bounce Back, the Ultimate Guide to Financial Resilience. I am an investor, you mentioned. I invest in real estate. I invest in equities and the stock market, and I invest in crypto and mutual funds and some of everything. But really, I'm a person who's been through the school of hard knocks. Honestly, I've been through so many financial challenges, and that's kind of what got me on the road to wanting to change my financial and personal life and to do better, and then ultimately teach others. And so that's what it's been about. That's been the professional mission, and really even a personal mission for the past 2+ decades.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm sure you're going to impart some gems on the listeners. You all, this is a person that I watched not just within this space. I had an opportunity to meet her in person, but she comes across our TV very often. So wherever you are, if you're saying, wait, I think that's her. That really is her. So when various different news outlets have topics that they want an expert opinion on, she is one that they call on. So when I tell you need to stop what you're doing, and if you're driving, even maybe pull over, get your pen and pencil, make sure that you take down the nuggets that you will get today. So let's start with your book. Just kick it off right there. Bounce Back, the Ultimate Guide to Financial Resilience. Like, that title is a lot. Like, that is really powerful. Talk to us a little bit about how you came up with that one.
Well, I really looked at a couple of things. One is the fact that the past several years have been so tough for folks financially. We had the pandemic, we had inflation, rising interest rates, increased credit card debt. And a lot of people are struggling, frankly, right? And so I feel like a lot of people need a financial reset. I was also aware that, based on research, the average American, at least 2/3 to as many as 80% of Americans have some kind of a setback, if not every single year, frequently, right? And so I have long been talking about this concept of the dreaded D's, and I wanted to expand on that concept and bounce back. So then I said, let me share with folks the 10 most common setbacks and challenges that people faced and how they can bounce back and recover from them. So those 10 dreaded D's again, and we say that because they're dreadful, number one, and they all start with the letter D. Patrina, it's downsizing from a job when you lose your job, divorce, death of a loved one, disability, disease, natural disasters, debt. I know a lot about that one. Damaged credit. I know about that too. And then what I call dollar deficits, which means I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I don't have any cash flow. I feel broke. And then discrimination.
Oh, wow.
So any one of these 10 financial and personal challenges can pack a big punch. It can hurt you in your wallet or your pocketbook. It can hurt you emotionally. And so I wanted to talk to people about how do you recover? How do you recover more quickly? And what are the skill sets and strategies and the supports even that you need to make that happen?
I love it. I just want to just let that resonate for a little bit. Like, wow. And for you to they're all D's. That's, as you were going through them, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I was thinking about a couple in my head and I never put the two and two together that they were D's. So wow. So as you all are sitting here, I'm sure without knowing all of you that will listen to this, that there is one of these or a few that you may have had personally or know somebody that have. So I'm ready for us to go. Because you mentioned living paycheck to paycheck. That is, I think sometimes, and you probably know this in your work, people think that is somebody that doesn't make a lot, somebody that live in certain areas. But I'm here to tell you that can be anybody, no matter how much.
Right.
That was my story. I made a lot, but I spent a lot. And if that direct deposit wasn't happening, it'll all mess up. So let's talk a little bit about that. How people can't wrap their head around stop living paycheck to paycheck, which is debt was on one of the things that you're talking about. Sometimes people in that way with some of the other D's, maybe it's divorce or some of the disease or whatever have you. Talk a little bit about people that are there, which could be anybody, and then how do they begin to be encouraged about being on the other side of that?
Right. Well, for starters, I think that it's super important that you acknowledged that, not everybody who's living paycheck to paycheck is, quote unquote, broke or feeling cash strapped just because they earn a very low income or unemployed or have, what might on the outside seem like dire circumstances economically. Yeah. You have many people who are living with six-figure paychecks, making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, and still saying, "I still feel broke."
Yeah, exactly.
And study after study show this, right? So that's appropriate, I think, and helpful for you to acknowledge, because sometimes people, even if they are in the higher income brackets, they might be shaming themselves. Mm-hmm. They might be criticizing and being overly harsh, frankly, to themselves, and or being the recipients of finger wagging and shame and guilt and saying, "Girl, you earn $150,000 a year. Why are you broke? You shouldn't even be, this shouldn't be a problem for you."
Yes.
But the reality is we're in a high cost society. We're in a consumer driven society. Nobody teaches us about financial literacy and how to manage our funds. We don't learn it at the federal level. There's no requirement, that kind of thing. In many of our households, we didn't learn about it. So there's a reason that folks feel like, yeah, I'm broke, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or they don't kind of know what to do to best manage their finances. So I want to acknowledge that for folks, and to acknowledge you for being sensitive enough to, as a coach, to recognize that this is an issue that cuts, across the economic spectrum.
That's right.
Now, I will say this, Patrina, the good news is that there's a ton of stuff that people can do to stop living paycheck to paycheck. And that ties into savings, and it ties into getting out of debt and other things. In my case, believe it or not, Patrina, I had 9 of the 10 dreaded D's. So,
9.
yes,
Ah.
9 of them. The only one I didn't have was a disability. And
Oh,
even when now I've had 3 kids, okay? I had my mother. My mother is here with me right now because she had
I
to have
saw that
knee
too.
replacement surgery. And my mother was like, "What?" Because she's taking pain medicine and everything, because that's some serious surgery, post surgery. And the doctors had asked her about her pain tolerance, and then she said, "Oh, I'm not too good with that." And I said, "Well, Mom, we're different in that." I said, "Because I just have a high degree of pain tolerance." And she was like,
Oh,
"Really?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I had all 3 of my kids natural childbirth, no epidural." She was like, "What?" So, but anyway, when you are a mom and when you have a baby, technically they call it disability. They call it short-term disability when you go out. But I never called it a disability because there's. So anyway, out of all those dreaded D's that I've named, I have had 9 of them, and I just don't count that 10th one the disability, even though I had a short-term disability.
wait,
Okay.
I
Anywho.
want to pause you there. I
Okay.
listen again. I'm trying to let people understand. You are the veteran money coach, and you just said you had 9. So this is why I couldn't wait to have this interview with you, because what you do for me, and I'm sure for others, is you are a beacon of possibilities for people. Like, I love you just give people hope, and I love that about you. I love who you, like, what you represent from a family and then the coach perspective, if you will. But why I wanted to stop you there is because I think people think, if this happened, if I got a divorce, if I had a disease, if I had, the debt, then I can't be like, Miss Auntie Lynnette on the screen, right? So I love that you're sharing. I had 9 of the 10. I had
Yeah.
9 of the 10, and
Yeah.
it's okay. Like, you don't have to be ashamed. You can still get what I'll call to the other side. So I just
Right.
wanted to make sure that I say that, because it makes it like it's real. It's real that it happens every day to people, and it's okay. And you can, as long as you execute on things that people share, like what you have, and bounce back. So I'm
That's
sorry to
No,
interject.
no, no, that's absolutely right. And one of the other things, before I just give you a couple of strategies about being able to stop living paycheck to paycheck, which is what you asked me about, just very quickly, I'll share that even though I do feel like my brand is inspiration, my brand is hope and inspiration. People know that I had $100,000 in credit card debt. Again, 20 years ago, I paid it all off in 3 years. I wrote this other book about it called Zero Debt. It became a New York Times bestseller. And they're like, "Oh, so I do sometimes, I would often say, if I did it, because I knew all the challenges and the stuff that I had, I would say, oh, if I did it, you can too." Now I've grown and I've learned and I've changed not only my language, but my perspective, my understanding and insights into human behavior and into systems that might be challenging for people, and making it more difficult for folks to emulate, one or another pathway. And so really what I talk about in Bounce Back, the first couple of chapters, before we get to things like the, dollar deficits or living paycheck to paycheck, the first couple of chapters are about your mental and emotional well-being. It's
Yes.
about taking care of you and about building your capacity for resilience. So,
Yes.
what I want to stress to your audience is that no matter which of the dreaded D's that you encounter, if you do some things first to put yourself first and to prioritize yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, etc., you will be in a better position to make good financial choices and to execute on whatever financial plan that you need to enact. And
Yes.
so sometimes when people go through something like a divorce, sometimes you might see they just jump back into the dating pool, or they're like, "Let me go buy another house real quick because I have to leave this house and now I want to go buy another house." Or they lost a job and they're like, "Oh, let me go replace my income and let me just go get another job real quick." But no, actually, what you really need to do is tend to yourself, is to acknowledge the loss, to
Yes.
kind of sit with that, unpack it, process it, deal with that transition, because it really does, again, pack an emotional and a financial punch, and to understand what happened here. Like, why did this set of circumstances come about? not just, oh, my employer decided to downsize me, because the downsizing thing happened to me as well when I lost my job as a Wall Street Journal reporter for CNBC, but also to unpack things like I call ancillary losses. So in the Bounce Back workbook, the companion book, I have exercises for folks to do. So your main loss when you go through something is the loss of the thing itself that you had, the relationship, the job, etc., the health, if you have a health scare and you lose your health, etc. That's a change, something external that happens to you and is typically sudden.
Yeah.
But transition is internal and it's something that happens within you. And it's your way of processing the change that has happened to you. But a lot of times we don't want to sit with that. We just want to go on to the races and go to the next thing.
That's so true.
The problem, though, is that if you just jump from one thing to the next after you've had a setback, you're not going to be in your right mind and your right emotional state. And so we know from research, there's a Nobel Prize winning economist. His name is Daniel Kahneman, and he showed that 80% of all financial decisions are emotional. Like, we make them based on how we feel, our emotions, that kind of thing. And so I really do encourage people. First, I'm going to tell you the steps because I'm about to get there. But I really do want to encourage people to practice some of the strategies that I outline in the first couple chapters, which are things like self-care, journaling, being mindful, not overly critical of yourself, having connections. And having connections is crucial. Anything that you want to recover from, if you want another job after you lost a job, who's in your network to help you to get that job?
That's
If
right.
you're having, like I said, health issues, I told you my mom is here now. What family members can you call upon to be able to, if needed, to help you to recover, etc. If you've gone through discrimination, is there someone that you can talk to about that experience? Or in the connections area, are there professionals that you need to connect with to help you to recover? In debt, have damaged credit, have dollar deficits. Do you need a budget counselor? Do you need a money coach? Do you need an accountant? That kind of thing. So having the right people in your corner also really, really does help. So I'm gonna pause here for a second, but then I'm gonna tell you some strategies for how folks can go ahead and stop living paycheck to paycheck. But I just wanted to say all of that to talk about the emotional side of money, really. The
Jen, no,
personal
I
and
love
personal
it.
finance.
You may see me moving to the side. That's because I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes as well. I have my prepared notes, but no, because this is a really important session or segment for people to listen to. And I had written the note down, fiscally recover from fiscally and emotional, personal, it's a setback. So I love that you pulled that in because I was going to ask you about that. And I love the placement of that in the book. I can't wait to get my hands on the copy. So talking about that at the beginning before you even get into the D's, like that's phenomenal. Again, another one of your brilliant things by placement in the book is really important. And then starting off with that and having them work on them, or us work on us, I should say. That's a great thing. So thank you again for everything that you do always, but doing this at this time, because what you started off with, meaning the title of your book and why you wrote it, and the name, how you came about the name. This is a really crucial time, and some people think that we're past it. We're still in the thick of it, right?
Yep.
And we're still dealing with the ramifications of a lot of things, but some things are just starting. And people, this is really timely, and thank you for being on the show to talk through this. So let's go through the strategies of living paycheck to paycheck.
Sure. So one of the things that I like to stress to people is that if you have a financial challenge and you want to overcome it, you have to think about, is this strategy going to be effective and sustainable? So, you've heard people say to millennials, for example, and I'm a Gen Xer, they say, oh, stop, with that avocado toast, or don't eat out, or don't, go to Starbucks or whatever. I'm like, really? That's the advice you're giving people, That's not sustainable. And that goes against human nature, right?
Yes.
So bottom line is one of the key strategies that I recommend if you're living paycheck to paycheck is what I call my switch and save strategy. And I call it a switch because it's a pivot. It's doing something different to switch your spending patterns and to take what you're already spending money on, and frankly, what you already gonna keep spending money on, but just spend it more wisely, to spend it on things that are more affordable for you, given your budget and your financial circumstances.
Yeah.
Now, let me emphasize that the switch and save strategy is very contrary to a lot of other approaches that are out there, and frankly, that a lot of other, that many other financial experts propose. They'll say something like the stop strategy, like stop spending all that money on going out to eat or whatever, the stop strategy,
Yeah.
or the scrimp strategy, like you got to really like scrimp and just cut coupons all the time and just do that exclusively. Nothing wrong with cutting coupons, nothing wrong with that, as a strategy. But if the whole mindset and everything is about scrimping, or about the next one, sacrificing. Okay, what you gonna give up? You got to sacrifice. You got to dig deep. You got, that's the Dave Ramsey method, right? Ooh, did I say? You didn't hear that from me, but okay. But it's like, okay, no, that's not realistic. People are not going to say, I'm just going to eat, rice and beans or, top ramen for the next 10 years because I want to buy a house. And no, that's not realistic to get people to save or to stop living paycheck to paycheck.
That's right.
So rather than go through stopping, scrimping, or sacrificing all the time, just switch it up. That's my strategy. So here's how you can do that in a couple of examples. So right off the top, I told you about my mom being here, and she has pain medicine and stuff right now because she had knee replacement surgery. My mom happens to be 80, but according to the CDC, 60% of all adults in this country take some kind of prescription medicine for something or another. And the average brand name medicine is about $100. So if you're doing that every month, obviously you're spending $1,200 a month. Well, if you would switch from a brand name medicine to a generic medicine, that same medicine is only going to cost you $30. That's a $70 a month savings, again, cash put back into your budget, or $840 over the course of a year. Again, an easy switch. You're still going to take the medicine. You're not going to sacrifice your health because by federal law, the same active ingredients have to be put into generics that are in brand name medicine. So again, that's one easy switch. You saved yourself some money, okay?
Exactly.
On the food front, my husband Earl and I have been on our health and fitness journey the past 2.5 years.
Wait, I have to stop you. And it's adorable. You all, if you're not following her, follow her because it's adorable. They share, they share like the end results when they go places and sometimes when they're working out together. So walking or whatever they're doing. I'm sorry, I had to put that in there.
Right.
I love Earl too. Earl is not on the screen, but if you follow her, you will know who Earl is very quickly.
And everybody knows because I love me some Earl. They know.
I'm talking about, and I love me some Chris. I know.
I was thinking about it when you asked me, to introduce, and I said, thank you for saying that, mom, and I said, mom and wife, and you asked me to say, professionally who I am, and one of the hats that I wear, and I didn't even say this, obviously my business is I'm the CEO and co-founder of the moneycoach.net LLC, our financial education and consulting company, doing financial wellness, helping people to learn about money. And Earl, of course, is the co-founder and the president of the company and my better half, who keeps all the other things that I just can't do well and don't do well, keeps all of that running. So hats off to my baby.
And look at your face as you talk about him, girl.
After 4 years, I'm still like,
I love it. It's all. It makes you like you were just so down to earth. Like I love you. Like okay, go ahead. Sorry, you went strategy too. What's your strategy too?
So we got on this health and fitness kick, and it's about the food that you're eating, right? So of course, in the beginning of the year, everybody was like, "Oh, I want to be healthier. I want to lose weight, or I want to do whatever." So when you're shopping, everybody has to eat. So you're not going to stop. Again, you're not going to stop eating. So I'm going to give you a strategy to switch. When you're in the grocery store or the supermarket. The switch is shop the perimeter. That's it. You're going to go and you're going to get fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grain stuff. You're going to really start to do less with those packaged, processed, sodium laden, sugar packed, things that aren't as healthy for you anyway, and that cost you a lot more because they're packaging it for convenience, right? So one switch like that will save a family of four $1,500 in the course of a year.
I love it.
Then there's things like our cell phones. I turned mine off because it would have been ringing during this, podcast interview. But we're all, everybody's into their phones and technology and whatnot. And the average American buys a new phone about every 2 or 3 years. Well, if you're spending $1,000 on a phone, that's a lot of money, obviously. And one switch that you can make is to go from a regular postpaid phone to a prepaid phone. So prepaid phones are out there and very affordable. Companies like Straight Talk Wireless have very affordable, as I mentioned, phones. They have, low cost, no contract plans, et cetera, $25 a month. Whatever your family needs, you get on a family plan. You're going to save about $960 in the course of a year. So again, an easy switch to make. And some of these, I have some Gen Xers. My son, he's like, oh, I don't want to. He's like, Mom, I realize I have a technology addiction. I want to get off of. So he just wanted a flip phone. He wanted a he's Gen. Oh, I don't know if you know, but Gen Z is very nostalgic. They
Really? No, I didn't know that.
yes, they're very much into vinyl records and just
Interesting.
70s and 80s stuff and kind of retro. And anyway, it even extended to things like the phone. I was like, oh, you want a phone like this? And he was like, yeah, because I don't want to have all that. I want to preserve and protect my mental health. So for him, he liked the idea of phones like that don't have all the stuff on them to be constantly, Instagram and all that. Again, not saying anything about it. I'm on the gram, okay? I'm not using it or anything, but I'm just saying, okay? So anyway, that's one switch if your budget is tight. Then I'll just say two more and then I'll pause.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
On the credit card front, because we were talking about debt, obviously, right now in 2024, the average credit card interest rate, it's about between 22 and 24%. That's a lot. Above 20%, anything is obviously very high.
Yeah.
But if you have $10,000 in credit card debt, you are paying about $2,000 a year if you have a 20% interest rate.
Yeah.
So one easy way to switch and save money and stop living paycheck to paycheck is to do a balance transfer. You take your high rate credit card debt and you transfer it to one of those teaser rates, teaser offers, really those credit card deals that are either 12 months, 18 months, that kind of thing. But you keep paying on it right now, right?
Yes, yes.
That'll help you to more aggressively pay down the debt. Again, you're going to save yourself $2,000 over the course of a year. Card ratings, again, another resource for folks, cardratings.com, their website. You log on there, they'll show you like for your circumstances.
Yes.
Here, I have great credit. I have, so-so credit. I'm a student. I'm an entrepreneur, whatever. They'll help direct you to the right type of card for you. And then the last one is on the child care front. Again, my kids are older now. Thank the Lord. I don't have to worry about this last one right now. But child care, I know for a lot of people is a big expense. $10,000 a year. Sending your kid to daycare or so. 20,000. Honestly, if you have a nanny, I used to have a nanny. I used to have my kids in private school when they were younger. I'm talking about when my kids were 5 and 3. Okay. And it was $20,000 a year back then. Okay. My kids are 26 and my son is 24 now. He turned 24. So, long story short, instead of all that, the switch is to do a nanny share. And a nanny share just basically means that in the neighborhood, you're going to share a nanny with one other family or 2 other families. Somebody who's going to take care of the kids at the exact same time, so you split the cost. If you have one other family, you cut your costs in half. So if you were paying, I don't know, $20,000 a year to a nanny, say you were paying $1,500 a month, which is not too far-fetched. You could pay $400 a week for childcare easily, right?
Yeah.
So if you did pay, $20,000, $15,000 a year, you'll knock that in half. So again, I'm just outlining some strategies so people can see the
Great.
concept
Yes.
and get their mind wrapped around the idea that, okay, well, I don't have to sacrifice forever. I don't have to stop spending altogether. I don't have to, scrimp and, no, just kind of switch it up and be more mindful about your spending.
Yes, and y'all heard it here. Switch and save. Switch and
There you
save.
go.
Switch and save.
Love
I
it.
love it. I love it. Switch and save. Now, you've been doing this for a long time, right? And I can see by the way you talk about it, you still have complete passion about the work and the people that is benefiting from what you're doing. What do you, if you were to name a thing, one, as to why there are still folks that are apprehensive about taking on some of the stuff that they may hear, like the switch and save and others, knowing that it's still, financial struggles are still a thing that a lot of people are experiencing that we described earlier. Why do you feel it's still a thing that people are apprehensive in actually executing on?
Patrina, that's a great question. I would say there are a multitude of reasons, and there's really not just one. It's, obviously everybody's individual and has their own sort of financial history, their own financial money scripts that they've been telling themselves, their own money personality, etc. But I think that in many cases, when people are reluctant to act or to do something or to execute on a plan, it boils down to one of three reasons. One is fear of the unknown, like I've never done that before, or I don't know, that doesn't. I never even heard of this. Like you telling me to invest in the stock market? What? Like what? We don't do that. That seems a little too risky for me. So it's kind of like fear because they just have never done something. Another reason is fear of either failure or success. So somebody's like, okay, if I try and I don't make it or I don't do, like she's saying, I got out of debt and you can too if you just follow step 1, 2, 3 or whatever, right? And then some people might fear like, what would life look like if I actually was debt free? then I have to, not that people in their mind, consciously, the idea, of course, people say, I want to be debt free.
Yes.
But then if they're like, oh, if I really did have, all my cash flow, and if I, does that mean my family gonna be coming asking me for money? Does that mean that does that mean that I'm gonna have to be like, I should have a lot more to show for it?
Yeah.
Does that mean that so subconsciously, the idea about either failure or success, and on the failure side, it's like, oh, if I don't live up, if I don't do it, if I follow the ABC step or 1, 2, 3, and something happens and I don't do it, what's wrong with me? Like, is it something? So again, this is very, subconscious, and this is the other couple of levels down, but I'm just giving you my take on it. And then I think another reason why some people don't act is simply because they're not ready at some level. Okay. Now they might not be ready emotionally. They might not be ready. They might have feel like, oh, this is going to be a heavy lift, like just think about, I compare sometimes, I talk a lot about health and wealth. And I compare a lot of times like losing weight, getting healthier, to shedding debt, stopping some financial behaviors that don't serve you, right? So like in my book, Zero Debt, I compared being a shopaholic to being an alcoholic, for example. And I showed, no, seriously, I showed how there's many traits in common. Like you get the euphoria, the high. So when you're shopping, you're like, ooh, I'm doing this is great. And even if you feel like it was a bargain, even if you couldn't afford it in the first place, right? But you're like, oh, I got a deal. So you get that shopper's high. That's a real thing. Or if you're drinking, you might get a little, oh, wow, you might be the life of the party. But then you crash later, right? So the crash might be something like, oh, I regret what I did. Or I know I shouldn't have done that. Or oh, I'm puking in the toilet now because I drank too much or whatever. Or I have the shopper's hangover because I have the debt hangover.
Yes.
And now the bills have come in, right? There's other things too, like hiding things. Oh, you hiding your purchases. You don't want somebody to see. And you might be hiding that alcohol bottle or hiding how much you're drinking. You might be saying, "Oh, I'm not a problem. I'm not a shopaholic. I can stop spending anytime." But your bank account is not showing that right now. Just like the alcoholic might say, "Oh, I don't have a problem. I can." And both of them may, not always, but both of them may have to hit rock bottom before they like kind of feel like jolted to have a wake up call.
Yes.
So the alcoholic might get into a car crash because they were drunk driving,
Yes.
or they might lose their job because they came into work and it's clear that they were drinking and they lost a job, or they might lose a family, or gamble because of their drinking, or and lose their home, or anything could happen and they hit rock bottom. Likewise, sometimes people don't bounce back or aren't prepared to act until they hit rock bottom. And so the rock bottom could be anything. It might be like, oh my God, I lost my home to foreclosure. Or I'm not just having dollar deficits and I'm broke and I'm, in debt. Now I lost everything. And then they're like, okay, I surrender. I give it. I need help,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
that's the point at which they reach out and ask for help, or are at least open to that conversation to say, what I've been doing ain't working. So let me, if it's not Jesus that I'm calling on, it's a credit counselor. It's somebody to help me.
So true, so true. Well, this has been amazing. So, the attendees, right? And people are gonna want to know. Like you listed them, and I'm sure people listed them when you were talking through them. But if you don't mind, if you could run down the attendees again, and then we want to tell them where they can get Bounce Back, the ultimate guide to financial resilience. We want to know where we can get it, and then I'm going to tell them about a surprise I have for them. But if you can run down the attendees, and wait, before you do that, you all take a listen to this, because I'm sure there's going to be at least one that you can resonate with, or somebody that can, and you want to make sure, if you don't resonate with any of them, which will be surprising, make sure that you share it with somebody that that are going through one of the D's now or have been, and they can check out Auntie Lynnette's book, Bounce Back. And with that, Miss Lynnette, please tell them where the 10 D's, and then where they can get your book.
Yes, absolutely. So the 10 dreaded D's are downsizing from a job, divorce, death of a loved one, disability, disease, natural disasters, debt, damaged credit, dollar deficits, and discrimination. And you can get the book, Bounce Back, and the Bounce Back workbook, I should add, which walks you through a whole bunch of exercises, quizzes, self-reflections, fill in the blank exercises, all the good stuff to help you to kind of put all of these lessons and insights into action in a customized, bespoke way. You can get Bounce Back and the Bounce Back workbook everywhere books are sold. They're online at Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can go to my website, LynnetteKhalfani-Cox.com, or my advice blog, which is askthemoneycoach.com as well.
I love it. I love it. So thank you, Auntie Lynnette. You may not know that's what I call you, but that's what I call you before I can say it to you directly. But thank you, Auntie Lynnette, for being on the Money Exchange. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your amazing wisdom with those that listen or watch this. I appreciate the work that you do. I appreciate the path that you've paved for us, and the work you continue to do to help people bounce back. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and for those of you that are listening or watching, you heard this amazing resource. Actually, two, you heard the book and the workbook. So for the book, you have an opportunity to get a copy. There's going to be three available. So I know you want to know the 10 D's that she talked about, and the steps that can help you along your money journey. And then this customized workbook is something that you can get for yourself, but I have 3 copies that I'm going to give away. The way that you can get it is drop down and leave a comment and let us know what you think about this. And I'm going to pick 3 of you. Let us know what you think about this episode. Drop down, leave a comment right below. If
Patrina, let's sweeten the pot.
Okay.
Let's sweeten the pot.
Right.
I think I can add to the, to the love here.
Okay.
Whoever is the winner and whoever gets your copies that you're going to send out, let's also give them the Bounce Back workbook, because I want the same people who have Bounce Back to be able to apply the lessons in their own life. And I want them to, all I ask is tell a friend, share, spread the love, you know? So I'll make sure that you have also the bounce back workbook. So when you send them bounce back, we'll get you the bounce back workbook that you can send to the same 3 people.
Now, did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Is she still giving? Is she still giving? All right. And all she asks is tell a friend. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend. So please make sure when you hear this episode, when you hear or listen, whichever way, 3 people from that leave a comment relative to this session, you will be entered into a drawing. There will be 3 people that will get the book and the accompanying workbook of Bounce Back, the ultimate guide to financial resilience. So, Auntie Lynnette, thank you for being here. Thank you for your heart and giving. I appreciate you. And you all that are watching or listening, I appreciate you for hanging in here with Patrina Dixon, the It's My Money Lady. I appreciate you. Stay up. Continue to be a part of the community, and make sure, don't keep this all to yourself. Make sure you subscribe so that you'll know when episodes drop, and share, copy, forward, do whatever it is easiest for you on whichever platform you're on, so more people can bounce back as well. Thank you so much and have a great day.